Hey guys, this is the Lala Legacy and welcome back to another episode of Air. So, let's jump back in. Michiru said nothing more. Just like back then, that was all she said. Tono gazed at Michiru with distress. After a few moments, Hey, Michiru. Is it my fault?
Huh? What?
Is it my fault that you're looking like this? Michiru didn't reply. She did not acknowledge or deny anything. She just looked down at the ground and away from the sea of sunset before her. I see. Tono accepted her silence as a yes and turned to look toward the sky. A silence fell between the intermittent wind that blew past us. We knew that today was coming to a close.
No, it's definitely not Minagi.
Michiru casted her eyes upon the sea. She looked at the calm sea that embraced the sun. It's not?
Yeah.
Why is it not?
This place.
Having said this much, Michiru stopped herself. She looked down at her feet, hesitant, sighing. After taking a small deep breath, she finally spoke again.
This place isn't where you belong, Minagi.
Huh?
You know that, don't you? You're forcing yourself.
Forcing?
You mustn't lie to yourself.
Michiru cut Tono off with a forceful tone.
Because you look so lonely. You can't hide anything from me.
Michiru. Her voice was stricken with grief. The girl, mustering everything in her tiny body to turn her emotions into words, was yelling.
I know, because I'm always by your side. I know everything that you feel.
To what extent will these feelings be allowed to be conveyed? Will these feelings finally find their way to those desperate hands? Michiru held back her tears and looked at Tono. Her adolescent eyes were filled with strength. This girl, with emotions that words failed to describe in her eyes, reached out until her fingers touched something.
You shouldn't be like this, Minagi. If you feel lonely, you have to say it. Otherwise, I will feel sad too. It pains me to see you like this.
Michiru.
Tell me, okay?
Okay. I'm sorry. Tono embraced Michiru in the sunset glow with arms that looked like soft wings. Michiru, with tears in her eyes, accepted all of Tono's warmth with her small body. The connected emotions had reached even the sunset sea. The waves rolled softly in the evening calm. The emotions contained in this outstretched hand reached the vast horizon that separated sea and sky. I watched on, slightly envious of those two. And then I thought about what I could do for them. What was possible within my means. There wasn't a need to think too deeply about such a thing. Although what I could do was very limited, there was something that only I could do. And it was something that I had to do. For their sake. For my own sake as well. So?
Hey, Kunasaki Yukito?
We were on our way home. Michiru pulled on my clothes while looking at Tono walking in front. I felt her strong wish on her small hand. I understand, I answered.
Okay.
Michiru nodded and smiled faintly. Then, in a whispering voice,
I'm leaving the rest to you, Kunasaki Yukito. With this, the long dream can finally end.
Nighttime. Tono and I sat down at the bench together, gazing at the stars as usual. The darkness of night enhanced the brilliance of the twinkling stars. I let out a small sigh in this world of darkness that threatened to suck me in. I've asked Michiru for too much. While listening to Tono's apologetic murmurs, I organized my thoughts. I had to do what I could for them. Hey, Tono, I spoke in a subdued voice. Yes? I've decided to leave this town. Eh? I've stayed too long. I think this is the right time to leave. Is that so? Tono casted her eyes down, depressed. What about money? If you don't mind the small amount. She fumbled the pocket of her skirt. No, it's okay. I'll manage. I stopped her hand. But don't worry about it. If I really want to, I could just leave without any money. Well, it was just my stubbornness at work. I told myself I wouldn't leave this town until I earned some money. I took out my puppet and showed Tono. I made the puppet bow, and Tono bowed right back at the puppet. You see, I actually have a favor to ask of you. Me? Yeah. As long as it's within my means. You can do it. It's really simple. Simple? That's right. It's really simple. I just want you to leave the town with me. Huh? You don't want to? I don't understand what you mean by that. I want to show you something. What? The world. The world? That's right. It's not a dream. I want to show you the real world. So, I held her slender fingers tightly. Let's go see the world together. I looked into Tono's eyes. This was what I could do. This was all I could do for Tono and Michiru. Tono looked back at me, not saying a word. An eternal silence fell between us amidst the background calls of the nocturnal bugs. Finally, okay. In the summer night, a silent smile lit up Tono's face. August 9th. Oh, every time that song comes on, either in this game or even in the anime, I cry! It was an ordinary morning. Sunlight and the sound of the cicadas surrounded us. Alright, shall we go? The next day after breakfast, while Minagi was washing the dishes, I put a hand on her shoulder. Where are we going? Tono tilted her head to one side and looked at me curiously. Isn't it obvious? We're going to make preparations for the journey. Don't give me that look. Are you going on a journey just like that? She nodded. I brought extra clothes. Silly, I reprimanded her. A journey isn't as easy as you think it is. Oh, is that so? Yeah, you're forgetting something really important to bring with you. What might that be, Master? I'll teach you along the way. Let's get moving first. Okay. After we left the train station, we walked toward the town center in the shimmering heat. Tono did not look satisfied with my answer, but she simply followed me without saying a word. It's this way, isn't it? I had only been to our destination twice, so I kept stopping to check where I was heading. Where are we going? Tono had not realized where we were going yet. Most likely, she had always taken a different path to get here. Thankfully, I had confidence in my sense of direction after having traveled for so long. I wouldn't get lost. Besides, if we walked a bit further, Tono would notice the place where we are going. Tono had forgotten an important thing to bring with her, and in that place, we stopped walking. Tono had possibly noticed somewhere along the way. She did not say a word. She stood there, staring at the house which she had seen so many times. We're finally here. I acted nonchalant as I lightly massaged my waist. Why? Tono said with a sad tone as she looked at the gate to her own home. This is all I can do for you. I could not bear all of her sadness for her. I would if I could. However, even if I could, it'd be pointless. Her sadness only belonged to her. That was why I had to make Tono face up to her sadness. You don't want to? She gave a slight nod. I see. Look at that! I pointed at the porch visible across the hedges. How long are you going to make her wait? There, Tono's mother was sitting in the sunlight, waiting for someone. Like a senile person glancing up at the sky, she looked lonely and frail. Mom! Tono looked at her mother with a complex expression on her face. Yep, that's your mom. I put a hand on Tono's head. Alright then, I'll leave it to you to decide what you want to do. My hand still on her head. Are you gonna go on a journey with me? Or are you going to go somewhere by yourself? Or are you going to go back to the place you belong? It's your choice. My choice? Right. It's a decision to be made by Tono Minagi herself. Minagi? Yeah, you're Tono Minagi. Tono Minagi. Tono whispered that name, as if reflecting upon it. Then she lowered her head and thought about what to do from then on. It seemed like an eternity. How much time was needed to recount her memories in this house where she was born and raised? The days of her childhood, the days of happiness, the days that bore no happiness. However, even if only sadness remained, it was home to her. Kunisaki-san, Tono looked at me with eyes that spoke. I nodded. Go. Find what you've forgotten. I gave her back a push. It was a promise I made to Michiru without an exchange of words. The young girl had entrusted me with her wish. It was all I could do. However, it was also something only I could do. It was only a small push. Her body lunged forward, her long hair fluttering. Her skirt flapped as well. I turned around. The breeze caressed my back. Is this flapping sound the sound of clothes dancing in the wind? Is there a purpose to wings that can't take flight? Tono said that. Wings that can't take flight. It's true that they don't serve any purpose. However, they cannot be abandoned. They always exist on the back. It is a memory of the days when one could fly. As I looked up, I saw a bird flying into the horizon. I'm sure you'll be able to fly again, so long as she desires it. Writhing, suffering, perhaps more injuries will befall her. The road ahead is indeed a perilous one. However, she will definitely regain her wings. She will definitely fly again, so long as she desires it, so long as she wishes for it. The endless blue sky invoked such thoughts in me. Besides, there was no need for me to stay. So I closed my eyes. I took a step forward. The summer air was chokingly thick. The sunlight pricked my skin. The incessant song of the cicadas vibrated my eardrums. The summer seemed to go on forever. Summer was finally ending. A new season was beginning. Even now, at this moment, it had begun. The wind blew, carrying the scent of the sea, with tremendous force. It was ending. It had to end. A flapping sound reached my ears. It was the sound of a skirt flapping in the wind. Long hair tickled the nape of my neck. That signified her existence. She was behind me. Right behind me. That was the proof that she was here. Without that proof, it'd be almost impossible to detect her. That was how frail her existence was. So lacking in substance that the wind might just blow her away. Tono was here. Why? My voice was carried into the wind. The place where you belong, the wind picked up speed, was right in front of you. The words disappeared as soon as they came. Clothes and hair were flailing. Her long skirt was toyed with, her hair danced. Kunisaki Yukito and Tono Minagi. We were on the verge of losing our foothold. The wind howled at us. Her voice was drowned out. Light flowed. Carried by the wind, bathed in the sun, they were several droplets of light. Droplets of tears. They gathered around her eyes and finally dispersed. She wailed. It was the first time I have heard her yell. Big droplets of light were blown away by the wind again and again, tears that would not stop flowing. I bit my lip. I lowered my head and clenched my fist. She should have rode the wind and taken a step forward. That was supposedly all I could have done for her. That was supposedly my wish. However, Tono's dream was... Kunisaki-san! She called my name. Her voice was filled with sadness. It was like the voice of a puppy yelping while being pelted by the rain. My arms trembled. I wanted to turn around right away, and I want to embrace her everything. Yet I resisted the dying urge to reach out a hand to her. Tono's happiness, Tono's smile, those were right beyond this wind. Kunisaki-san! My determination wavered. Even more violently than this strong wind, her wail moved me. I bit my lip until it bled. My nails dug into my palms. I had to endure it. It was a promise. It was a task entrusted to me, but it had to end. But it had ended. The feeling of hair brushing against my neck gradually disappeared. Tono's shadow disappeared. She had left. Only her tears remained. Tono! The touch of her fragile, slender wrist, the shadow of a hand joining, bewitching hair swaying in the wind, falling tears. Her clothes fluttered dreamily. Where are you going? She was trying to run away, only because a road lay in front of her. It was a fearsomely lonely path. Tono was here, sobbing and shaking her head. I could not embrace that body of hers. I could no longer give her a push on the back. I could only hold on to her existence. One will wake from the dream someday. When night ends and morning comes, one will definitely wake from the dream. Anyone would have wished to keep on dreaming. However, they are still brought back to reality, because dreams will always remain dreams. Perhaps it is a difficult choice. It is hard to open one's eyes and return to reality on one's own volition. It is something that requires courage, but that is what everyone will do. Tono should not be an exception. It was what Tono should have done. All I could do was call her name and slap her shoulders. She should have moved on. She should have ridden the wind once more. She should have wanted to do so. Whatever the heck that means? Her lips had been shut tight. She finally opened them after the sun had completely set. Tono was lying on the bench. I was right beside her, looking up at the stars. Why didn't you go? I spoke to the sky. When I saw my mother, my feet stopped moving. Tono answered me in stutters. But you see, Tono, your dream is already someone who should have been there, or here, in the little space between Tono and me. She should have been sitting here. However, that small, noisy, annoying girl is no longer... I understand. Tono spoke in a wispy voice. I was always with you. Her voice was shaking. It was mixed with tears. I understand. I understand. Her soft whisper melted into the darkness of night. Tono knew. She remembered her dream. She remembered the girl who gave her a place to belong. Hey, you haven't... Tono did not answer me. She was desperately trying to hold back her sobs. I'm sorry. Her face drenched in tears. I'm sorry. Is she saying sorry to me? Or perhaps... A sky of stars shone brightly overhead. The heat from the day was long gone. The bugs chattered endlessly. The occasional gust of wind rustled the trees, mimicking our emotions. Kunisaki-san. Oh, Tono called me, this time visibly more composed. What are you going to do from now on? I didn't answer her. No, it was because I couldn't. I was still in shock. Right beside me, Tono was still shaking. I tried moving my mouth. I tried calling out to her. However, I couldn't. I couldn't say anything. She swallowed. That was a voice of despair and disappointment. And she kept quiet. The silence dug into my soul. Yet, she felt like she wanted to cling on to something. Tono opened her mouth hesitantly. Kunisaki-san. Um, you see, will you let me sleep on your lap? Kunasaki-san. Lap. Lap. And it happened again. Tono started crying. How much had she cried today? Can that body of hers hold this many tears? It pained me. It saddened me, so I let my gaze fall on the ground. I saw Tono lying on the bench for the first time. Her body was small. Small? And ephemeral. I know I pronounced that word wrong. I tried. I stroked her hair. I stroked her hair gently. Very gently. This was all I could do for her. I was still at a loss. I still couldn't find the answer. What can I do from now on? For Tono's sake. What should I do for Tono? I still didn't know, but I could still do this for her. If I didn't, Tono would... Kunasaki-san. My hand brushed against Tono's face. I continued to stroke her hair without saying a word. Her soft cheeks, her warm body, her hands were wet with tears. Okay, I'm gonna end it here. I feel like that we're really, really close to to her bad ending. Oh gosh. The next time that I play this, if we do not go to like the full 20 minutes that I usually do for my episodes, and it ends, I will go back to the previous save where we had the choice that determined the good end to the bad end, and then I will choose the good end choice, and we will go from there. So that may happen all in one episode, that choice and everything, and this ending. So be prepared for that. And yeah, so if you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe. By subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!